Hello, everybody. So, this is kind of a truth that everybody kind of knows deep down, but it's kind of something that you have to practice consistently, because I've sort of found that you're going against years and years of mental conditioning. And it's so simple. It's kind of the simplest thing in the world, but yet sometimes it seems to be almost impossible. And it's the act of surrender, acceptance, however you want to put it. Some people don't like the word surrender because it might have negative connotations in that you're giving up. But as it says on the picture that you can see, it's letting go. It's like things that you cannot change. If you fully accept the present moment, you fully accept just this moment. That's all you need to do. You don't need to think about the past or think about the future. You only need to accept this moment as it is. And it sounds so easy, but yet it can be so hard. But everybody has got the power to make it easy. It's kind of at the level of consciousness we're at now, where it is a battle, but it really is the key to peace, and it works with everything. It works on a big scale and a small scale. So in other words, it's the little things in life, the frustrations that are inevitable through living in a world like we do. I mean, the material world that we're living will have frustrations, if you will, and challenges. There's a difference between challenges and frustration. But really, acceptance is the key to living a peaceful life. And there's many, many reasons why we might not want to accept what is. It may be that you think that if you accept something, then it's not going to change. And also, I found that an acceptance, when you struggle to accept something, it's because you think the situation's totally unacceptable. You have a sort of egotistical resistance to it. There might be a situation that you find yourself in life, and you just refuse. You think, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't have happened. And of course, how many things are there like that in the world? Like I said, it could be small things and it could be big things. It could be a small thing like you miss a bus or a train, and it could be a big thing like a disability or death of someone close to you. And of course, in the Christian faith, the cross is the symbol of surrender. In a way, if you think about, Jesus on the cross, he the words "Thy will be done," the will of universal intelligence, the will of God, if you want to put it that way. Because what could be more futile than inner resistance to what is, to what already is? If it's like there's the sort of example of being stuck in the mud, isn't there? And if you're stuck in the mud, the first way to get out of it is to accept that you're there. If you struggle and fight against it, you may get stuck further. But that doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in the mud. It means you accept your situation and then you move out of it. And it's like the teachings, and the deeper you think about this, and if you truly grasp what it means from your day-to-day life, it can help you so much. The little things that, for instance, you could be stuck in traffic when you want to go somewhere. Let's say you're late you're late for work. It's happened to me. I hate being late for work. It just upsets my whole day. So whenever it happens, and let's say I'm already late or I'm running late and I'm stuck in traffic, I leave. I start at 7 in the morning when I'm on an early shift at work. And if I leave 10 minutes later than what I usually do, I get stuck in rush hour traffic. There's like a 10-minute window that I need to avoid, if you get what I mean. And if I go later than that 10 minutes, it means that I'll get stuck in the rush hour. And when that happens, it puts an extra 20 to 25 minutes on my journey. And sometimes I find myself getting frustrated and like a really impatient way of driving. So I'll be consistently edging forward towards the car in front of me. And I'm thinking sometimes, what am I doing? This impatience isn't going to make the car in front of me go quicker. It's not going to change the traffic. I'm late, potentially. Relax. If you're feeling frustrated, you feel that frustration, but you don't let it build. And if you do accept it, first of all, you accept your current situation. And then you have to accept your non-acceptance. It's kind of... if you cannot accept it, you accept your non-acceptance, because if you don't, you will then create further suffering. It goes on and on. How many times I find driving, because when I'm working, I spend 30 minutes driving to work and 30 minutes driving back, and I find driving to be an enormous spiritual challenge, because anybody that drives will know how frustrating it can be, because you're angry at other people that do things on the road, and you get there's road rage, and you find yourself just becoming so potentially angry. And I always try and use it as a spiritual teacher. So for instance, one of the main things that riles people up and gets people angry is when you cut up on the road. So if someone cuts you up, you almost take it personally. And I found myself now thinking, why would I? It was only years ago where I was in a fit of rage because of it, and literally chasing someone down the road, like literally following them to chase them. It's just quite bizarre. But I'm thinking, why would I do that? It's not a personal thing. That person, even if they get a look at you, they don't know who you are, and 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to see you. But your ego takes over, and you consider it like a personal attack on you. Whereas if you just accept that that's the way people are, and not get personally attacked by it, you will just let it be. And just think of the repercussions of what that could mean if you take that personally and you get angry and you act upon it. It's quite remarkable. That's how most accidents are caused. It might even activate your pain body. And some accidents happens for reasons that we can't figure out. Some happen that can be very, very easily avoided because people just get frustrated. So I always find driving a really good spiritual teacher, and the greatest spiritual teacher is other people. Hell is other people, as someone once said, and of course that's sometimes you think you're doing really well on the spiritual path, and all someone has to do is say or do something that upsets you, and you feel like you're back to square one. And there you go. You feel like you feel like sometimes that you've not gained anything on the spiritual path, when of course you have. If you listen to teachings and you read books, and you've experienced a couple of shifts and had a couple of moments and thought, geez, that's right. But of course it's surrender is the end of all suffering. It's not the end of pain, and it's not the end of challenges, but it is the end of all psychological suffering, which is usually time based. If you experience pain, but you cannot not experience pain in this world. It's inevitable. But what a lot of people do is run away from the pain, which is, I did it when I split up and from a relationship. I drunk quite a lot, and drinking slows your thinking down, so you're not thinking as much, and the pain then, because you're not thinking about whatever is bothering you, the pain disappears for a little while. But you're not dealing with that pain. That pain hasn't gone anywhere. That pain will carry on within you, and it will, that's what the pain body is. It's pain. It's it's pain that lives inside you that hasn't been fully faced. But let's say you're feeling sad, or you're feeling a lot of pain. Let's say that something, you're reminded of a particular, traumatic experience that you've had in your life, and whenever you do that, whenever you think about it, you feel a lot of pain. Your reaction might be to go and have a drink, or to do something that you'll take your mind off it, or some kind of other escapism, which sometimes there isn't anything wrong with, but that pain's not going anywhere. It will ultimately, it will manifest either as an illness, or either a mental illness or a physical illness, or you will become an angry person and people will not want to be around you, and you'll be known as that person who's a bit of a jerk or something. So it's very important to deal with it head on. And how do you do that? Well, you have to experience the pain. So if pain comes over you, you have to feel it and not think about it. So you delve fully into it. Now, I've tried this, and sometimes it can feel like the most unnatural thing to do, because you won't want to experience that pain. You'll be thinking, well, why would I want to feel bad? But the way I kind of view it is, we're all on a journey. We're all on a journey to grow in consciousness. That is the purpose of why we're here, from my perspective. And one way of looking at it is, you look at like plants and flowers, and even animals to a certain degree, because they don't have the free will that we do. They don't have a choice, so they'll experience pain in different ways. For instance, the flower will grow and it will shed unwanted parts of itself, and it will experience its own version of pain, but it doesn't have free will. It doesn't have a choice in the matter, whereas we do. We were given the gift of free will, and because of that, we can choose not to experience the pain that we need in order to grow. It depends on us whether that pain turns into suffering or not, psychological suffering. And much of it is to do with the world that we live in. We're not necessarily taught the right things. The true teachings that we need are in the Bible, but a lot of them have been misinterpreted and mistaught. And we're not really taught about how to live wisely. And it's about going deeper and shedding unnecessary baggage in your life and not being true to yourself. Once you have a taste of kind of the spiritual dimension, if it's a true taste, you will always follow that path. That's the way I found it to be. Nothing else matters as much to me. Of course, there are things that I want to do in life and things that I enjoy doing, and every now and again I'll be a little bit silly and maybe have one or two more drinks than I should do. But I know that the most important thing for me personally and the human race is spiritual realization. And the only way that you can do that is by being true to yourself. And in my trip to Thailand it became more apparent to me that I'm not necessarily like I used to be. And the biggest obstacle, like I've already mentioned, the biggest challenge is other people. If you accept other people exactly how they are, there will be no anger towards them and no suffering for yourself. And karma, the karmic cycle is broken. Karma is the emotions and the sort of thoughts and the perceptions that you have about the world that might be negative. Of course, if you look around you, there's what could be perceived as negativity everywhere. But you have to understand that even the most insane thing that would seem senseless has a reason. And I don't want to insult people that have gone through disastrous times. And even the thing that I lost my, like I mentioned in the other video, a child that I raised. I'm on one level glad that that's happened to me. I never thought I'd say that. It's took a long time to reach that point. But I know that I'd never have attained this level of realisation if I hadn't been through that. I like stillness, silence, and my own company a lot of the time. But I also like to be around other people. I choose who I'm with wisely, but occasionally there will be people that may be obnoxious. That's one perspective. It's just a perspective. And it's a really difficult challenge every day to try and accept people for who they are. And one of the ways I like to look at it is when somebody behaves in an inappropriate way, or they're cruel, or they're obnoxious, or they're just got a big ego, or they're just unreasonable, unpleasant people. I always think there's a little part of me in them. What they're doing, I will have acted that way at some point in my life. Maybe not to that kind of level, but there will have been a part of me that has done that. When I was young, I did some very unpleasant things because I wasn't aware. I don't blame myself for doing it because I didn't know any better. And that's what karma is as well, about feeling guilt. You shouldn't, as long as you know why, as long as you understand the mechanics of the mind and you realise that wasn't you, it wasn't you in your essence that were doing those things, it absolves you of any guilt. There's no need to feel any guilt, even for the worst things that you've done. If you know now that you know better, and that it wasn't really you doing that, it might have been your pain. You was doing it, your pain was activated, and it was the pain acting itself out because you didn't really were aware of the importance of surrender. So, as I said, it works on a tiny, tiny scale. It's an interesting one. Is if you go on, people that'll know me know I'm a big Star Wars fan, and the new film has stirred up a lot of controversy. And if you go online, there are so many videos of people getting angry and literally really aggressive. And I wasn't a fan of it at first, but I really wanted to like it so much. I have a lot of complaints with the film. But I find people, if they would just accept the film for how it is, rather than want it to be something else, more and more people would enjoy it. And I found myself doing that. I've seen it a couple of times now, and I accept it, and I'm able to enjoy it more. If I would have wrote the film, it would have been different, but I didn't. I accept it and say, right, it's got that problem, but that's the film, and that's what he was trying to do, and you enjoy it. But there's too many people out there that refuse to accept it for what it is. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It may not be. It's just, a movie is just an art form, and all art is subjective. But I think that's an interesting way of looking at things. So, if anybody's listening to this and gets anything out of any of my videos, just try and do it from your day-to-day life. Acceptance. And it can be when you wake up in the morning and you drop a milk bottle on the floor and it smashes and you have to clean it up. You could get frustrated and angry, and that could ruin your whole day. You know what it's like when you have a bad day? Something usually sets you off at the beginning. So just practice it in everything that you do. Sometimes you're going to let your emotions get the better of you. Do not punish yourself when that happens. Do not blame yourself, because you're going against years and years of mental conditioning. It really is quite remarkable. And when you accept your situation, the world, and other people for who they are, the ego dissolves. There's no ego then. Ego is, in essence, a kind of refusal to accept things. And like I said, it works on a smaller scale and a big scale. There's so much to be frustrated about in the world now, but everything has its purpose. You're not going to figure out what that is all the time, but the universe is so complex that and we know this, and scientists know that everything is interconnected. Everything. There's an intelligence working through the world, so no incident is isolated. Even the most senseless events have some kind of sense, because if they didn't, how could they be? How could they exist? The universe is here for a reason. There is no one totally senseless event. It just cannot happen. And you don't have to understand why a certain thing happens. I think even the Course in Miracles says your understanding is not an important element, and it isn't. Of course, we are intuitive beings. Me as well. I love to get to the bottom of things, but it's another act of surrender to realise that you're not going to know the answer to why certain things happen, why you didn't get that job, why that certain person left you, why you lost that amount of money, why you got injured. Acceptance when it seems almost impossible. And even, let's say the worst thing imaginable happens, that you lose someone very, very close to you. You may not be able to accept that on an external level. So for instance, a parent losing the child, you're not going to be able to fully accept that external on the level of form. It would seem almost impossible to accept that, because, and it would in some respects it kind of would be inhumane. But what you can do is try and accept the pain that goes with it, and if you do that, a peace will come over you. The peace that passes all understanding, that's what that is. So it really is the key to peace. I hope that anybody listening has got something out of this video. And I'd like, if anybody's learned something out of this, to sort of let me know if they've put anything into practice and if anything's changed or anything at all. I'd love to hear it in the comments section. I really appreciate you listening, and I'll speak to you soon.